authentic conversations about ourselves and our community, exploring topics that uplift and inspire us, from personal growth to social change. So grab your teacup and get ready to join the conversation. Good afternoon, tea sippers. We are live with Tanisha Talks Teas on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. How is everybody this Monday morning? What tea? What are we sipping this morning? I am sipping the first day of the Diddy trial. Y'all know I'm ever sipping the first day of the Diddy trial, so let's just go ahead and get right on into it, y'all, okay? The first day of the Diddy trial starts today. So y'all know Diddy has been incarcerated now for like 6 months. When did Diddy go to jail, y'all? When did he get arrested in that hotel in New York? Wasn't that back in like last year? He went to jail last year, like I want to say, it wasn't last summer. Was it last summer? Has Diddy almost been in jail a year? Let me see. When did Diddy get arrested? Diddy got arrested on September 16th of 2024, okay? He has been arguing his release since September 16th of last year, 2024. And so yeah, that's what that has been doing, y'all. So we're going to get updated on Diddy's trial. Starts today. Today he will be having his jury selected. We're going to listen to some of the news updates and some personal understandings and opinions on the diddler, y'all. Oh, we are all having a blessed day. Thank you guys so much for sipping tea with Tanisha today. Let's jump right on into Diddy stuff. So, Diddy, what do they got going on Fox News New York?
Well, the trial of Sean Diddy Combs starts 1 week from today. The sexual misconduct charges he faces have attracted widespread media coverage, which could make it difficult to pick an unbiased jury.
Okay, Fox 5's Lisa Evers is in the newsroom. And Lisa, today you had an exclusive conversation with a jury selection consultant about that jury selection process.
Yes, I did, and very, very interesting. She's telling us it will be up to 12 residents of 8 New York counties, including some from upstate, to decide whether Sean Diddy Combs walks away from this case a free man or stays locked down for decades. Now the jury selection process is underway to pick a jury who can decide his fate.
Diddy was once seen as a superstar and fashion icon. Now his only outfit is a prison jumpsuit. 600 men and women are filling out jury surveys to determine if they will be selected or selected to determine his fate. It's based on 20 to 70 questions.
The questions range from your basic impartiality, your basic ability to serve, if they have financial hardship or childcare concerns. But then they also go into a range of what groups, organizations they belong to, their experiences with law enforcement, And then they really get into their thoughts on the nature of the charges.
Judge Arun Subramanian has ruled that the horrific video of Cassie Ventura being beaten by Combs can be admitted in court. Prosecutors will also be able to introduce videos of the alleged freak-off sex and drug sessions.
They really get into their thoughts on the nature of the charges. So if hearing graphic evidence would make it hard for them to be fair, their experiences with sexual harassment, domestic violence, they go into questions about drug and alcohol use.
For most of this week, prosecutors and Diddy's defense team will be poring over the questionnaires and eliminating candidates.
By May 1st, they have to propose 4 lists. So a list that both sides can agree, the jurors can move on to jury selection, so they don't have any hardships or cause challenges. A list that both sides agree should be excused.
Now, the prosecution and defense will each submit a list of jurors that they do not want on the jury. The people who make it will be there in federal court a week from today for the actual jury selection. Now, whether they are questioned because of the high-profile nature of the trial, their names will not be read in court. They will be identified simply by number. That's the latest from the newsroom. I'm Lisa Evers, Fox 5 News. Steve, back to you.
Interesting. All right. Thanks, Lisa.
I'm sure you know by now that there are literally thousands of women earning 6 and 7
so we're
figures
sipping
from
on
home
Diddy.
by creating an automated store and selling products through
That
dropshipping.
was a little bit of news coverage from Fox 5. Thanks, Fox 5. Let's just keep going in on the Diddy stuff.
Where the federal racketeering and sex trafficking case against Sean Diddy Combs is underway. So here's what's happening right now. Jury selection started earlier this morning. The hip-hop artist faces 5 counts, including racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. Combs pleaded not guilty, but faces decades in prison. So let's bring in CBS News correspondent Jerika Duncan. Jerika, first of all, good to see you, even though you're having to be under an umbrella there, my friend.
Great to see you, Reed.
We understand that you have an update on what happened in court. Tell me about that.
That's right. It appears that at least 2 of those jurors have been seated. I just left court about 15 minutes ago, and they are still questioning jurors. Remember, they need 12 that they will seat and 6 alternates for this federal case against Sean Diddy Combs. And just to give you a sense of some of the questions that the jurors were asked before, they were questioned by the judge and also prosecutors as well as the defense team. If they had any issues with sexual assault, if they had any experience with it, their views from the prosecution on law enforcement, they were asked if they received any training or had any experience with psychiatry, psychology, addiction, law enforcement. They also asked about any questions or reservations they had about artists and the hip hop community, witnesses that will testify under immunity. So this is just a few of the questions that sort of give us a look into what each side is looking for when it comes to that impartiality of a juror. And many times over, the judge mentioned that Sean Diddy Combs is presumed innocent unless he is found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. He mentioned that over and over again to each juror that was questioned. Last check, though, about 9 jurors had been questioned, 2 that we know that were seated, in which the prosecution and the defense agreed they were comfortable with seating those jurors. So a lot to learn throughout the next couple of days, which is how long the judge said this should last. They're hoping to get through about 50 jurors each day. But both sides recognize how difficult this case will be in terms of getting that right jury pool to make sure that folks don't come in here with preconceived ideas because of that video that went viral that we saw of what appears to be Sean Combs kicking and dragging his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. But this really comes down to a federal case, the U.S. government, United States government against Sean Combs, facing sex trafficking and racketeering charges, which could get him up to life in prison if he's convicted on all charges.
Well, Jerika, if I'm in that courtroom, I have a huge question in my mind, whether I'm with a prosecution or defense, and that is, how can I seat a jury in a case against one of the most famous men on the planet, and especially now infamous, made more infamous by that video you talked about? It's a challenge.
It really is, Reed, and I think that's why even with the questionnaires that these jurors filled out, it was an opportunity for both sides to ask questions to those jurors based on how they filled out that questionnaire. There were some other telling moments in what we are now learning about some of the people and places, for instance, that jurors were asked about if they were familiar with. For instance, one juror said that they were familiar with, I believe it wasn't, stand by because it is wet outside and I want to make sure I get it right. It was number 88, and that was apparently Michael B. Jordan. And then there was number 117, Mike Myers. So these were jurors saying that they were familiar with pictures of these people, but just knowing them as actors or celebrities. Then there were parts where the judge...
I mean, are you really going to find anyone in today's day, no matter, I mean, that could be, you know what I'm saying, left, right, under, behind, beside people of the world that are not going to know these people, like people that put out, you know, big screen movies like Michael B. Jordan and whoever this Mike Myers person is. Like, you really, really got to be an Amish person or somebody that has no connection to the internet, no connection to anyone that knows anybody in the entertainment industry in any way, shape, form, or fashion to not know who Diddy is or anybody associated with that may know Diddy. So, I mean, you kind of damn if you do that and if you don't in that, I think.
Said, what about number 133? You had a question about that person. And this was juror number 4. They said, I know them as a celebrity, but in that case, the judge didn't mention them by name. And just as I was leaving, another juror was asked about Kanye West in terms of what that juror knew about Kanye West or their feelings or thoughts about him. So we don't know how that will play into this trial, whether this is a situation where maybe one of the witnesses or alleged victims says they saw people at a party, or whether these were just people that were at a Diddy party that we've talked about along with this case. So it's too early to presume exactly what that means, but there are a number of locations and people that these jurors were already shown to find out their connection to or just how familiar they are with some of these people and places.
All right, Jerika Duncan, CBS News. Always great to talk to you, my friend. Let's hope the rain lets up for the Met Gala that's happening in New York as well.
Okay, so Diddy's trial is beginning today. Juries are being selected. It looks like 2 people may have already gotten selected on Diddy's jury trial. What do you guys think? Let's listen in on USA Today, even though sometimes USA Today be having a slant, girl.
The music mogul faces charges of sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution, as well as racketeering. The trial will be full of shocking and salacious allegations. Mr. Combs pleaded not guilty, but how strong is the case against him? Here's what we know now.
Combs' defense has basically been arguing that he's not guilty and saying that these relationships were consensual, that this is essentially a swingers lifestyle, that people went to these parties by their own accord and engaged in this behavior. That will play a lot into the kinds of questions that the potential jurors get over the next few days. They're expected to bring in as many as 150 people. Potential jurors will each be interviewed one by one in the courtroom. It's expected to take about 20 minutes, expected to be asked about everything from their views on.
So they're saying this could take a couple of days. So Diddy's jury will not be selected in a matter of moments. It'll probably take a week or 2 to select all 12 jurors, okay?
Sex, violence, drugs, folks who have multiple sexual partners, as well as potentially their own experiences with sexual assault. So this will be a very telling next few days in where the trial will go from here.
Will Combs or high-profile witnesses testify?
So it's unclear yet whether Combs himself will be taking the stand, but as of right now, his former girlfriend, the R&B singer Cassandra Cassie Ventura, is expected to testify. I mean, with so many high-profile people within his orbit over the last few decades, it's tough to say exactly who we might see come to the courthouse over the next couple months.
Okay. Oh, no, we're still listening. Hold on.
Selection is underway in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. The disgraced music mogul is charged with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in.
So let's pause that there. I'm going to take a note because I also want to look at these charges and see what type of time they carry and so forth. Okay, so we got racketeering. I think I've done some of this already, but that's okay. We can do it again. So we got racketeering, we got conspiracy, we got sex trafficking. Oh my goodness gracious. Diddy, they trying to put you up under the jail, boy. And transportation to engage in prostitution, okay? Transportation to engage in prostitution.
He has pleaded not guilty. Christina Fan is live outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan with the latest on the proceedings. Christina.
Good afternoon, Cindy. In-person questioning of prospective jurors began earlier this morning. The judge overseeing this case plans on bringing in at least 50 prospective jurors every day until a jury of 12 people and 6 alternates is formed. Even though dozens of men and women have filed civil lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs, this criminal trial is focused on the accusations of 4 people, including his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Jury selection is underway in the federal sex trafficking case of Sean Diddy Combs. The 55-year-old hip-hop mogul faces 5 counts, including racketeering conspiracy and transportation to engage in prostitution. Prosecutors allege he ran a criminal enterprise that coerced women into participating in drug-fueled sexual escapades known as freak-offs involving male prostitutes. Combs' legal troubles began nearly 2 years ago when ex-girlfriend singer Cassie Ventura filed a civil lawsuit against him, alleging years of physical and sexual abuse. The two settled, though dozens more cases have been filed by other alleged victims. Combs denies the allegations. In March 2024, federal agents raided his Los Angeles and Miami homes. Then 2 months later, CNN aired this graphic video from 2016, which appeared to show Combs attacking Ventura in a hotel hallway. He later apologized on social media.
And then it's like, who are we going to find that has not saw this video? Everybody has saw this video.
My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
Legal experts say defense attorneys will try to change public perception.
You want that jury seeing Mr. Combs as relatable, as human, as being a father.
Last week, Combs rejected a plea deal in this case. If convicted, he could possibly spend the rest of his life in prison. And jury selection is to move relatively swiftly, with opening statements scheduled to begin next Monday, May 12th. This trial.
Oh my. So they're really only giving Diddy a week. They're giving Diddy a week. They're capping it at Monday. This reporter is reporting that they are capping it at next Monday for the jury to be selected. I thought maybe since they were doing like 20 minutes, 50 people a day, that they might, take maybe 2, but no. This reporter is reporting it can only maybe last up to 1 total week for Diddy's jury to be selected, and then it's starting. Jury trial starts for Diddy.
Is expected to run anywhere between 8 to 10 weeks. Reporting live from Lower Manhattan, Christina Fan, CBS News, New York.
Christina.
Okay, y'all. The jury is being selected for Sean Puffy, y'all. It is being selected for Sean Puffy. What do you guys
The Sean Diddy Combs trial has begun here at U.S. District Court.
Do you guys think that Diddy has any allies? Do you think that there's anybody that may step in to talk for Diddy? And who would that be? Do you think it would be Stevie J? Because we covered Mr. Stevie J in his comments with TMZ on the Diddy documentaries that TMZ did. When he said things like all of the little liars that are going around saying that Diddy did all of these things to him and the sex trafficking situation, things like that. They are doing nothing but muddying up the water for the real victims to come out and shit like that. Like, you know, they're making it harder for real victims that may have been assaulted by Diddy. Like, did he, at that very moment, did he already give his so-called best friend brother to the wolves, essentially saying that statement about Diddy? What's this?
One by one in the highly anticipated trial, but here is what we know as of right now. Now, Combs faces several charges, including sexual assault, sex trafficking, drugging, coercion, and racketeering. Several dozen prospective jurors got a brief description of the charges against Combs this morning, and jury selection could take several days, with opening statements and the start of testimony expected sometime next week. Let's get right to Fox 5's Michelle Ross, who is live from outside of the courthouse in Lower Manhattan with more of today's developments. Michelle.
Hi there, Bianca. Potential jurors, after they received that brief explanation of the charges against Diddy, the judge also reminded them that Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all of the charges and that he is presumed innocent. Diddy walked into the courtroom hugging his attorneys. We also saw him in regular clothing, not his usual prison uniform. He wore a sweater with a white collared shirt underneath and gray slacks. Now, the jury will be anonymous, and this is often the case in high-profile trials to protect potential jurors from harassment. Now, jurors are being questioned one by one, and the court hopes to seat a panel of 12 of them, plus 6 alternates by the end of the week before opening statements begin on Monday. The trial is expected to last around 2 months, and we can expect prosecutors to argue that Diddy used his power to force women to participate in drug-fueled orgies that lasted days, known as freak-offs. Diddy's defense team says everything was consensual, and his attorney, Mark Igdifilo, said during a hearing last month that there's nothing criminal about a swinger's lifestyle. One of the 4 alleged victims expected to testify during this trial include R&B singer and ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura. And tonight, just a few miles uptown, is the Met Gala. This, of course, was an event that Diddy attended for years. It's an event full of glamorous fashion and also fundraising. But instead of heading there tonight, Diddy will be going back to his jail cell before coming back here tomorrow. We're live outside federal court in Lower Manhattan. Michelle Ross, Fox 5 News.
All right, Michelle, thank you for the update. And joining us now for more on this is Eric Rudish, managing partner and senior litigation consultant at Blueprint Trial Consulting. Eric, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so the question right off the bat here is that with Diddy's name all over the headlines, how do you lawyers even begin to seat an impartial jury?
Well, the first step is the juror questionnaire. I'm sure there'll be several questions asking prospective jurors what they know about the trial and, more importantly, what opinions they formed about the case.
Yeah.
So that's going to certainly provide a good deal of information for each side to know if a prospective juror can be fair and impartial in this case.
Absolutely. Now, I know that the prosecution is painting this as a years-long criminal operation. So what does the defense have to do to maybe dismantle that narrative?
Well, I mean, first step is obviously selecting a jury that's going to be, for both sides fair and impartial. So looking at the questionnaire and seeing what opinions people have or experiences related to sexual abuse, sexual lifestyle, views towards law enforcement, whether they've have negative view of law enforcement, feel that law enforcement unfairly targets individuals, particularly minorities.
Yeah.
So, people are going to look through that evidence through their own lens, and their lifestyles, experiences are going to certainly be a big factor in how jurors view this case.
So for the defense team, what would be the ideal juror that they would want seated on this?
So the ideal juror would be someone who potentially has more favorable attitudes or experiences towards, hip-hop culture, has a maybe non-traditional sexual lifestyle, maybe has had negative experiences with law enforcement. So, someone who, with those experiences and attitudes can certainly be much more receptive to some of the evidence that the prosecutor is going to bring forth against Sean Combs.
You brought up the issue of the evidence. A lot of the evidence is going to be very graphic. So how do you bring that out there to the jurors without alienating some of them?
Right. It's all going to be about the witnesses that come forth for both the prosecution and the defense, and for Sean Combs' a team to put that evidence, particularly the visual evidence, into context.
Yeah.
And it might be the kind of case that Sean Combs may need to testify to provide his story to the jurors.
Do you think he will?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But that might be a decision that might be made, during the trial to see how the trial is going. But typically, defendants, as you know, do not testify.
Yeah, they don't want to get themselves in any more trouble than they are already currently in.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense. All right, well, we certainly appreciate you being here and in breaking this down for us. It's going to be a complicated process, obviously, but the world will be watching.
Yes,
especially
for sure.
a case like this.
Thank you.
You'll have to come back on to talk more about it. Thanks
Absolutely.
for being here.
This is what
All
Ivy League
right,
universities you can get into with a 3.6.
We are covering the first day of Diddy's trial. They are selecting Diddy's jury, right? So what other tea is out there on what's going on with Diddy? Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial stakeout. What's going on with Oh, this is just them watching the courthouse of whatever. Ooh, I got excuse me, sneeze. But there's lots of tea on Diddy.
The anticipated criminal trial of Sean Diddy Combs is getting underway. The music mogul himself expected to be inside a Manhattan courtroom as jury selection begins. It was nearly 8 months ago that Combs was first arrested by federal agents and charged with racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution that could lead up to life behind bars. Combs has repeatedly denied the accusations against him, and just last week said in court that he had rejected a plea deal which would have seen him receive a lighter sentence. But New York prosecutors claim Combs abused women for decades, coercing them to participate in drug-fueled sex parties known as freak-offs. Many of those incidents recorded on video, according to the indictment.
The victims did not believe they could refuse Combs without risking their security or facing more abuse.
His defense maintains everything was consensual, with Combs' attorney Tenny Garagos telling the Two Angry Men podcast,
"The public has gotten nearly every single fact wrong. However, that's what a trial is for."
The legendary rapper and hip-hop producer, now turned defendant, was first accused of physical and sexual abuse by his former girlfriend, singer Cassie Ventura, in an explosive civil lawsuit 18 months ago. Combs denied all of Ventura's accusations at the time, and the two settled. But a criminal investigation was already taking shape. And then this hotel security footage surfaced, first obtained by CNN, showing Combs punching and kicking Ventura in 2016.
And as I said, there's going to be likelihood of anyone not seeing this video slim to none.
My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
That apology has since been deleted from social media. Combs' legal team has tried to keep the assault video from being played to a jury, but the judge recently...
Not for nothing, everybody that covers Diddy in the content creator world has this video and has it uploaded to their content a lot. I know I do. I know everybody that covers Diddy does. So like I said, it's going to be very slim to none chance that someone on the jury has not seen this video of Diddy beating Cassie.
That it can be shown. A source familiar with the case telling NBC News that Ventura is a star witness for the government and is expected to take the stand within the first few days. Now the process begins to select the jurors who will soon decide his fate.
Hey guys, Combs is expected to be in the courtroom as the jury is being chosen. His legal defense team hoping that they can find an impartial jury despite the months of media attention surrounding this high-profile case, especially since his former girl.
Ooh, that's going to be intimidating. Imagine sitting there while Diddy stares you down for you to become a potential juror. That's going to be pretty intimidating for jurors, right?
Girlfriend Cassandra Cassie Ventura filed an explosive civil suit against him in November 2023, claiming years of alleged physical and sexual abuse. And now she's expected to be a star witness on behalf of the government in the case against him. Now, I also want to point out that the judge is hoping that they can seat a jury within just 3 days, which is quite fast.
Wow, 3 days. I just spoke on maybe it might take a minute, considering the nature of how they have to carefully, selectively select the jurors for Diddy. But the judge said, no, let's get this shit on the roll. Let's get on the roll. Okay. 3 days. Diddy got 3 motherfucking days to pick 12 folk. People of your peers. We're going to go all around New York and handpick 12 motherfuckers. We're going to cherry pick 12 niggas. I really don't give a damn. Let's get this shit moving. 3
federal
days.
court, and that's typically what happens. They like to seat a jury pretty quickly. And then that would allow both sides, both the prosecutors here in New York and Combs's legal team, a couple of days to prepare before opening statements are on Monday. I want to point out a few other things. There aren't going to be cameras in the courtroom. This is all expected to last about 2 months. And this entire criminal case centers around 4 alleged victims, with Cassie being the main one. The other identities have not yet been revealed. Back to you.
Thanks for watching. Remember to show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing. It's a blessing. Keep your teacups filled and ready for my next upload. Until then, stay inspired and remember, always stay sipping.